like it.
In the big cities and the small towns.
On the sideline with his Cowboys up 7-3, and we are up in the booth. Miles upon miles away from the sideline. I'm Joe, that's Troy, that's Chris, and I guess we came on camera midway through the second quarter, and I'm sure a lot of it still applies. I mean, neither one of the quarterbacks really has stepped up and been too impressive in the first half.
Yeah, and even when you look at the yards and what's happened for both of these offenses, not really a lot of disparity. Of course, the two big runs by Aveion, Cason, one of them for the touchdown, but, you know, two offenses that are struggling against relatively decent defensive teams.
Yeah, I really thought the Cowboys pretty well dominated the first half, at least statistically, and had some opportunities in the game and just simply missed some of those opportunities. Now, some of them were penalties and big plays that got called back, but they really do need to take advantage of some of their opportunities, and of course the biggest one was the one they blew there at the end of the half.
Well, look at the numbers, and you see that it's about a 2-to-1 ratio with the Cowboys offensively to the Falcons. First downs, about the same ratio there as well. Each side has a turnover. Each quarterback has thrown an interception, and time of possession leans in favor of the Cowboys. This is Swinton. Reggie Swinton with a return that crosses the 20, and he's going to be marked down to the 22. And we check in again with Pam Oliver. Pam.
Thank you, Joe. I checked in with Dan Reeves at the half. He's very exasperated, as you might imagine. First thing I wanted to know was about the play of Doug Johnson. He says, first of all, our problem is just execution across the board. It's not all Doug's fault. He said the same thing also applies to the running game. They've gained all of 25 yards on the ground in the first half, but he felt like if they can get their execution going and first and foremost get that defense off the field, they're spending way too much time on the field. Back to you.
Well, they're back out there to start this second half as Quincy Carter leads his team to the line. Carter fires, completes to Galloway. Joey has been busy in this game, and Galloway gets it out to the 28, a gain of 6.
Hey, Tyrone Williams needs to be careful out there. It's like a fighter throwing jabs. They just keep throwing those jabs, those quick little hitches, the underneath routes, and you know they're setting something up. They're setting up Tyrone Williams. When he starts trying to walk down a little bit too close to Joey Galloway, he's going to try and get up over the top on him.
Good news for the Cowboys as you see Larry Allen back in at his left guard spot. Bad hamstring and all. This is Hambrick, and that's a Dallas first down. They had Terry Glenn coming around, and that was more of a decoy, a gain of 6 and a fresh set for the Cowboys.
Not surprising that once they get Larry Allen back into the ball game, they give the ball to Hambrick over that left side. Troy Hambrick said that that's the side that he likes to run behind, get behind Flozell Adams along with Larry Allen and allow them to move some people out.
You think Bill Parcells put a little healing on Larry in the locker room?
I don't know sometimes if he was healing, but he might have gave him a little tongue lashing.
Sometimes those coaches come by and put their hand on you and say, you are now healed. See you out there in the second half.
I saw Ernest Angley leave the stadium just minutes ago, so they might have called him in. Carter drops the football. The football came out, and the Atlanta Falcons have recovered. One of the few times that Quincy Carter has brought it down and gone on a run, and he drops the football. He turns it over for the second time in this game.
That's right, Joe. The 2 times that Quincy Carter has brought the ball and started to scramble. Of course, the one earlier in the game, he tried forcing it down the field. Interception. Here he takes off on the scramble. But when you're running down the middle, that ball attracts a lot of people, and you've got to tuck it. He's got the ball away from his body. Hand comes in. Fumble. Nice job, Patrick Kearney, knocking that one out.
Patrick Kearney known for his hustle. There's not a guy in the NFL that plays harder than that guy right there, and that hustle paid off on a big turnover. Now Doug Johnson and the Falcons have to take advantage here.
Best starting field position for the Falcons. And they start with it on the ground and give to the fullback. That's Griffith. And Griffith got 8.
And Griffith is a guy who he believes he can actually play some tailback. And Yeah, I know Pam was talking about how upset Dan Reeves is in the fact that they haven't run the ball well in the first half, but even if you look back to last year, the Falcons were 4th in the NFL as a run offense, but yet a big part of that was because of the yards produced by Michael Vick. He had over 700 yards rushing. If you take those out of the offense, this Falcons team was not a very good running football team.
2nd down and 2. This is done. That's a 1st down for Atlanta, and Warrick lowers his head and pushes the pile to the 22. Williams on the stop, a gain of 10.
And there's a young man that's been a little frustrated with the way that he's been used, not just here, but with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He felt like he didn't get enough playing time there with Mike Allstott in the picture. Feels like he doesn't get enough playing time here. He was considered to be too small. He wouldn't run inside. He wouldn't block, yada, yada, yada. But the one thing that he does is he can produce for you if you give him the opportunity. I just don't think he's used enough in Atlanta.
That's done in motion. And this is Griffith getting the corner. Griffith out of bounds inside the 10, forced out by Woodson. 14-yard pickup by Griffith. And what does it say about Duckett? That they're giving the ball to Griffith, they're giving the ball to Dunn, and here's a #1 draft pick from a year ago. He can't even get on the field.
I think Duckett's a guy who they just haven't quite figured out how to use, because they said last year we weren't able to utilize both Warrick Dunn and T.J. Duckett because they weren't healthy for the most part at the same time. So far this season they are. They've got some questions as to how they're going to utilize these guys. Now they're throwing Griffith into that mix.
And he is the lone setback behind Johnson. Play action. Plenty of room, and back of the end zone, Kozlowski was overthrown. And all Johnson can do is hang his head after that toss.
Yeah, Doug Johnson knew that he had a chance right there for Kozlowski. Again, a good call by Dan Reeves. Kozlowski is really a blocking tight end, but on here they're able to get him in behind. Doug Johnson has him for an easy touchdown and just put too much on it.
And the reason that Kozlowski was so wide open, they had to play a quarterback on Warrick Dunn. Mario Edwards was playing him. They have to treat him like a wide receiver, and it opens up for Kozlowski.
Now it's 2nd and goal. Ball at the 7. And with the play clock down to 3, the Falcons will spend a timeout. 2nd and goal for Atlanta as they try to move in and take the lead.
Bell Sunday is brought to you by Saturn, makers of the highly adaptable View, redesigned L Series, and the fun-to-drive Aveion.
Nice little water feature outside Troy's pool as we welcome you back inside. It's 2nd and goal from the 7, a 7-3 Dallas lead with 11.5 left in the 3rd quarter.
I'll invite you over sometime.
That'd be nice. Crowd's trying to get into it. Johnson with happy feet finds his man Dunn, who rolls into the end zone for a touchdown. And the Atlanta Falcons have regained the lead.
Well, there is Warrick Dunn, and that's the added dimension that you get. The ability to come out of the backfield to create a big play. With Michael Vick out of this lineup, they get very few cheap yards in this Falcons offense. But you have Warrick Dunn on the field. They've been using him basically as a receiver throughout the course of this play. Just drop back into a zone defense, and nobody there. They followed the receiver in the back corner. Mario Edwards did, and there it was.
That makes it a 10-7 lead for the Atlanta Falcons. Warrick Dunn was left all alone, and Doug Johnson finally found him. And after a little stop, drop, and roll, the Falcons are back up by 3. Bill Parcells on the sideline, teaching, yelling. It's 10-3 Atlanta back out in front. And you just saw Ebenezer Ekubon say, "I'm sorry." This is Cason. Aveion Cason gets out across the 20, knocked down at the 22.
Now you go back and take a look at that touchdown by Warrick Dunn, and you're going to see Dexter Coakley right here. They're in a bunch right here. Dunn's going to run to the flat, and this is Dexter's responsibility to go cover him, but he gets confused by the reaction of the tight end and the receiver, and he lets Dunn get out in the flat, and that's why he was as open as what he was.
A reaction from Michael Vick. As the Falcons have regained the lead, Vick is probably saying, I would have just run it in, but hey, if you want to throw it, that's all right.
I don't think his job's in jeopardy.
Not yet. First down and 10. Dallas Cowboys from their own 22 down by 3. Hambrick. Gain of 3. And we go back and look at the key play which led to the great field position. Patrick Kearney forcing the fumble with Carter scrambling. And that gave the Falcons the ball at the 40 and down into the end zone on that 7-yard completion to Dunn.
Well, that's the thing that's so frustrating for Bill Parcells. He knows that if they just punt there and they don't give the Falcons a short field, it's going to be hard for this Falcon offense to go 70, 80 yards against Cowboy defense.
And it's been hard for this Cowboy offense to go 70 or 80 yards against this Falcon defense. As Carter airs it out. Galloway, the intended receiver, and there's their shot, Chris, going after Tyrone Williams. And Tyrone was right there, stride for stride.
It's a nice play. He's replacing Ashley Ambrose this year. Of course, a longtime starter with the Green Bay Packers. A little bit surprised they didn't try and do a little something more. They just go play action away, and Joey Galloway runs by him, but Williams makes a nice comeback and play on the ball.
That's the thing. Joey Galloway is so fast that even there, he's having to slow down in order to try to make a play on that ball. And it's hard for any quarterback in this league to lead him enough, because if you find that guy, Joey Galloway is going to get separation on most.
Third down and 7. Carter avoids the rush. Still on his feet, but dives forward shy of a first down by 5. Gain of only 2, and Kearney was there for Atlanta.
Patrick Kearney threw a Joe Frazier left hook right over the head of Quincy Carter. I don't think he can believe he missed him. Those guys, they don't get many free shots like that. He just went right over the top of them.
Of course, Patrick Kearney, who's had an outstanding last couple of years, 22.5 sacks combined, has been very involved in being able to put pressure on quarterbacks, and he's been doing that throughout the day today.
From up above, with Toby going, waiting for the snap. End over end. Line drive punt, and Rossum will just fall on top of it. Rather dangerous play, but he's able to corral it. Jeff Robinson, the long snapper, was down to make the stop. 43-yard punt after the Joe Frazier whip on Quincy Carter. Falcons get it back up by 3. It's a 10-7 Atlanta lead, and the Falcons have the ball back. Resting at their own 30. Dan Reeves, 0-5 in his career when being matched up against Bill Parcells. That includes the Super Bowl as Johnson drops back. Is hit as he let it go, and it's still complete. Unbelievable that Warrick Dunn is able to come down with it. As Ekubon hit Doug Johnson, somehow that ball got into the arms of Dunn.
Well, there's going to be pressure. Ebenezer Ekubon working against Bob Whitfield, and he comes up underneath and gets a hit on him. Ball deflected, and then they're able to still get the reception. But on the backside, Peerless Price was one-on-one against Terrence Newman, and Doug Johnson looked and wanted to go his way, but Peerless Price could not get off the jam.
Peerless Price has been a non-factor. And Rob Johnson has it knocked out of his hands, and then he is dropped by Dat Nguyen.
Coming right at you, as they've been doing all day long, coming with the blitz. Falcons try and pick it up, and really, when you're talking about a blitz situation, that's enough time, but Roy Williams made a spectacular play to dive over the block and get a hand. I'll tell you, that guy for a safety is one of the best pass rushers you'll see.
Bill Parcells said he was about a biscuit shy of being a linebacker. He is a big-bodied safety. 6 feet, 235. Second down and 15. Johnson to the near sideline. Nice catch by Griffith, but minimal gain. Edwards taps him down. And a month ago, the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League, for that matter, lost a great one. A Hall of Famer, Tex Schramm, died at the age of 83, scheduled to join the Cowboys Ring of Fame in October, which is something that he started. And so many of the pieces to the NFL that you just take for granted are his innovations, like instant replay, wild card playoff system, moving the hash marks to the center of the field, moving the goalpost back to the back of the end zone, is all Tex Schramm. Over the middle, Finneran with a catch, and he is dragged down just shy of a first down. Edwards on the stop, and as he muscled him down, Finneran came down, it looked like, about half a yard short.
Roy Williams again coming out on pressure. They're able to pick him up. Brian Finneran on the crossing route. Mario Edwards able to corral him down to the ground just prior to picking up the first down. But here's a look at Roy Williams on the blitz, and Warrick Dunn doing a great job. Definitely a size mismatch there, but Warrick Dunn does a tremendous job of getting his body in front of him, allowing Doug Johnson to get that ball off.
It's like he might have hurt Roy a little bit on that play as well.
About half a yard shy of a first down, as Moore kicks it away and hangs a beauty with Swinton waiting deep. And the fair catch pulled in at the 10. Some days you might go for it if you're the Falcons. In this case, they say, Atlanta, try and move the ball on us. Go get them, Dallas.
Brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 38. By the new H2 Hummer like nothing else. By Taco Bell, where you can spice up the night. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you?
This is kickoff weekend for 2003. 10-7, Atlanta on top. And movement by the tight end, that's Campbell. What I was trying to say going to break is that in certain games,
half position to goal, remains first down.
with the ball on the Dallas 48, you might even consider going for it if you're Atlanta, but with the way Carter's playing, with the way the Dallas offense is playing, if you're Atlanta, you say, hey, if you can go down the field, go down the field, but otherwise we're not going to make a mistake and give you a short field.
No, that's right. You go for it there if you're playing an opponent with an offense that has the ability to go the distance, and you want to keep the ball away from them. Clearly, that's not the type of offense they're playing today.
Showing blitz, coming on it. Hambrick able to buy a little room. He crosses the 5, maybe a little shy of the 6. Second down coming up. Saturday on Fox, Troy will host a look at football's most demanding position, NFL quarterback. With the help of NFL Films, we take a look at the complexity of the position, as well as the different styles and how the position has changed over the years. NFL quarterback, a special presentation this Saturday at 1 Eastern and Pacific, only on Fox. Finneran is being led off the field. On second down, punt fake, and the pass is complete to Troy Hambrick, a gain of only 3.
Yeah, Joey Galloway out working one-on-one on Ray Buchanan, and he felt like he felt like Quincy Carter really missed him. You see right there, Buchanan was up inside. They come with the blitz. It leaves Galloway all by himself, and you know, unfortunately, as a quarterback, you can't see everything, but missed out on a real opportunity for something there.
4 catches, 58 yards on the afternoon for Galloway. It took Finneran off. They're x-raying his left hand as Dallas is faced with 3rd and 11. Out of the backfield, it's Hambrick. Nowhere to go. Well covered with Mathis there to help on the tackle. A gain of 5 and a quick 3 and out by the Dallas offense.
You know, Troy, I've just got to say, this is the most un-Parcell-like game I've seen in a while. In my opinion, watching these two teams, the Cowboys match up better today against the Falcons than vice versa, and yet you've had the fumble by Quincy Carter, the interception, the penalty on the play that came back. They just are continuing to make big mistakes in this game, and it may end up costing them.
Alan Rossum is waiting for the punt from going. A nice return by Alan Rossum as he is inside Dallas territory, forced out at the 41, a 10-yard return. Hunter on the stop. The Falcons with a ball, good field position, and a lead here in Dallas.
Human thigh bones are strong.
10-7 Atlanta lead, trying to go in even with 4:12 remaining in this third quarter for what could be huge points to force this Dallas offense to get something going. So far, they've been unable to do that. Only points in the second half belong to the Falcons on a 7-yard touchdown throw from Johnson to Dunn. A rollout by Johnson. Setting up a pass to Crumpler on this side of the field, wide open. Alge Crumpler running to the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. No flags on the play, and a quick strike from the Falcons. Yards to Alge Crumpler.
This is called the Fooey screen here, for a better name. Everybody comes over here this way, tight end circles all the way back across, and there's nobody over there. You take advantage of a defense with all the speed that the Cowboys had. They over-pursue. They lose their responsibilities. Once again, a big mistake by the Cowboys.
Gives you an idea of the speed Alge Crumpler has as well, for him to be able to run that all the way into the end zone with people in pursuit.
6'2", 262. And a 41-yard catch and run by Alge Crumpler. And Troy, it's something you and I were talking about while Chris was down on the field before the game sweating. And that is, you've got the peerless price factor here in Atlanta. He's been the number 2 guy. The key for the Falcons is now the price is going to be 1, is they got to find somebody to be the 2 guy in Atlanta.
Right, and that's what happens is so many times the number 2 receiver on a team will go to another club and be expected to be the number 1 guy. A lot of times they're not able to handle that responsibility. Peerless Price, as the number 2 guy in Buffalo, came here, and he clearly has the talent that he can be the number 1 guy in Atlanta, but somebody has got to emerge as that number 2 guy to keep people from doubling on Peerless. I don't think it's going to be Brian Finneran. I believe the guy that's got to do that is Alge Crumpler.
Well, I tell you, Troy, though, I haven't seen anything out of Peerless Price today that make me think that he's going to be the number 1 guy, at least in an Eric Moulds, Terrell Owens kind of a fashion, Randy Moss kind of a guy. 1 catch this afternoon, and he has been in man coverage all day.
On the run, it's Cason. Trying to pick his way for extra yards, and he is knocked down at the 23. 13-yard return by Aveion Cason.
And I think you go back to how that touchdown was set up for Atlanta. Dallas gets the ball pinned back because of the punt by Atlanta. They're unable to do anything, and because of that, it was as much the responsibility of the offense by not moving the football in that last drive as it was the defense that gave the touchdown there to Atlanta. So right now, again, with them backed up, the Cowboys have got to do something offensively in order, 1, to rest their defense, but then 2, to get back in this game.
Carter setting up a screen. Penalty flag on the play, and that's Cason. Aveion Cason is all the way out to the 40, but this is coming back.
That was a hold on Richie Anderson. He gets beat to the inside, just grabs the guy, and referee was right there to call it.
It's Mike Carey. We haven't had to hear much from Mike Carey today, penalty-wise.
Holding offense, number 20, 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That wipes out a 17-yard catch and run by Cason.
And here it is, Richie Anderson, number 20, coming out to block, but he just is out of position. And once you get out of position and you don't get your feet underneath you, that's the kinds of things that happen. So again, here Dallas is backed up with first and long.
With yet another mistake. It's been the story of this game so far. I mean, this was a team that just dominated in the first half, had nothing to show for it, and now they're going to end up losing the game if they can't get it turned around.
See the average starting field position and the difference in the second half as Carter fires to the sideline for Galloway, incomplete.
Really, the miscues have been the story of this game for the Dallas Cowboys. Every time they start to get a drive going, somebody puts the ball on the ground or a turnover. Receivers start breaking off their routes. You miss your field goals, just one after another. And what they were trying so hard to do was just be conservative. They knew Doug Johnson was the quarterback on the other side. They knew Mike Vick was up sitting in the coach's booth.
Keon Carpenter is down and could be a cramp as they work on the back of his left leg.
Boy, it's so good to see Keon Carpenter back on the field again after the blow he took in the playoff game against Philadelphia when he hit Deuce Staley and ended up having to have surgery on that neck. He was, for all intents and purposes, paralyzed going off the field, got some feeling coming back, and then after the surgery to fuse the vertebrae, was able to actually come back and play football and had a big interception today and had a big game today.
Just so you know, if you wonder about penalties, something that Dan Reeves talked about coming into this regular season, the Falcons were winless during the preseason, a ton of penalties. They have drawn 3 flags today, while Dallas has been penalized 4 times for 30 yards. Don't really know why that information is pertinent or what you can do with it, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. So the penalties have been cut down by Dan Reeves' club, and it's taken a while for this offense to get rolling a little bit, and it certainly hasn't been a clinic by any stretch of the imagination, but they have a 10-point lead against a team that right now can't move the football. Second down at 20. Over the middle, that's the tight end Witten, and the pass is incomplete. More early game headliners. Kurt Warner. The biggest news about Kurt Warner is what Howie Long said at halftime, that he's staying in New York at an area hospital after suffering a concussion. Then you've got Tiki Barber, who had 146 yards on the day, and Donald Driver. Reports that we are getting is that he's getting feeling in all of his extremities, so that's great news, as he had to leave the game on a stretcher with a neck injury. Third down and 20. And taking a sack is Quincy Carter. Travis Hall came up to get him, and he had help from Brady Smith. So here's a play on 3rd and 20 where you're just trying to buy a little yardage, and he runs into a sack.
Well, trying to move Quincy Carter out of the pocket. Travis Hall makes the spin move there, and Quincy Carter just runs right into a wall. Travis Hall, who's been a starter throughout his career, was limited last year to 1 start because of injuries, had abdominal surgery in the offseason, and I know he's looking for a much better year in 03.
This is a butt one.
Nearly blocked is that punt off the foot of Goen and into the arms of Rossum. The former Green Bay Packer is collared down at the 46. Dixon on the tackle. Dan Reeves had a career day against the Falcons. November 5th, 1967 in Dallas, Dan Reeves rushes for 2 touchdowns, catches 2 touchdown throws. The 4 TDs scored set a Cowboys single-game record, since tied by 5 others. An undrafted player out of South Carolina, former quarterback in college, and a guy who threw a very important halfback pass in that Ice Bowl.
And a guy that also says that Tom Landry is the reason that he is a coach in the NFL. He had no desire at all until he met Landry.
Duckett is now in the backfield, and we have seen very little of T.J. Duckett in this game. Lowers his head and is brought down just shy of the 43.
The Falcons really have been more Parcells-like than the Cowboys have been here today. So many great moments in his career, both as a coach and as a player, involved in so many different Super Bowls. Think back to that Ice Bowl and the halfback pass, and probably the best player that's now a head coach in the league, up to 198 wins. I think this would be 199 today.
That includes playoff victories. He is number 7 on the all-time regular season win list as Johnson rolls out and finds Kozlowski. And Kozlowski has a first down at the Dallas 30. 14-yard completion to Brian Kozlowski.
And I think what Pete Mangarian, the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, is doing is he's starting to mix things up a little bit. Talked about T.J. Duckett being in the ball game on the previous play. Now they come out, they start running some of the naked bootleg things that allow Doug Johnson to get outside the pocket. They're safe, conservative throws, keep moving the chains, but also keep the clock running. And again, this is the drive that started inside Dallas's territory and a chance to go in and get more points.
Big backfield with Griffith and Duckett behind Johnson. And it's Duckett. And T.J. pushes the pile down to the 24, a gain of 6.
And, you know, with T.J. Duckett, when he's in the backfield, and then Justin Griffith as his fullback, it looks like they're in the wrong position. I mean, Justin Griffith is not a real big guy playing fullback, and he's blocking for somebody that weighs 260 pounds. I don't know exactly what Griffith does as far as moving people out, but whatever he doesn't, T.J. Duckett's going to be there. He'll move them out himself.
Well, Bob Christian, of course, the fullback here for so long and had such a great career, retired because of some of the concussions he took.
25 seconds and counting remaining in this third quarter. Duckett almost fell down, and now with a head of steam just runs over Woodson and gets another Atlanta first down, a gain of 11.
I'll tell you what, T.J. Duckett on that run for a big man, as we were talking about, shows some tremendous agility for him to be able to cut. He cuts right off of the block of Justin Griffith and is able to get back out to the outside. You're going to see as he's moving forward here, starts in, decides to go out, but for him at that size to be able to keep his balance, pretty tremendous.
That running game will be so important to Doug Johnson the early part of this season. 17-7 back after this from your local Fox station. We're at the end of 3.
You're watching.
First game of the 2003 season for these two sides, and we have seen some good, some bad, and some ugly. It has been getting better and better for the Falcons as we have gone along, and the offense has stepped up and rewarded their defense for the way they've played for the first half of this game. Start of the fourth quarter, 17-7, and Atlanta looking for more points. A first down carry by Duckett. Gain of 4 on the play, and while they peel the bodies off one by one, we'll go out to Los Angeles and check in with JB for a game break.
Hey, Joe, Terry Bradshaw was hanging his hat on Jake Plummer today, but it was Clinton Portis' 2 touchdowns and 120 yards on the ground that helped Denver to spank Cincinnati. And you know what? Chris, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy want to know, did you design the Cincinnati uniforms?
I did indeed, and I also designed JB your suit today. Thought you looked great.
My suit's a whole lot better than those uniforms, Chris.
Terry Bradshaw, who is still on the Jake Plummer bandwagon, and as he said, he's surrounded by a ton of talent now, and we will soon find out just how good he is. Second down and 6. And there was movement by the offensive line for the Falcons.
Ball start. Offense, number 74. 5 yards, still second down.
Let's check in with Pam.
All right, Joe, a couple of injury updates for you. First one, the big one for the Atlanta Falcons. Receiver Brian Finneran, the Falcons' #2 receiver, went in for x-rays. While the x-rays revealed a broken left hand. Ballpark figure as to time of recovery is 6 weeks. Meanwhile, safety Keon Carpenter strained a hamstring. He's doubtful.
All right, Pam, well, that's crushing news for the Falcons, and it puts a lot of pressure on Quentin McCord. Jimmy Ferris as well, who's across the middle right now. Johnson is buying time and throws it away, and then takes a hit at the end of it from Greg Ellis.
But that's a good job by Doug Johnson once he's outside the pocket, knowing that he can get rid of the football. Greg Ellis is the one who puts the pressure on him, working against Todd Weiner, and he's coming up his backside. But great presence by Doug Johnson, just unloading that and not risking a turnover.
And he is hurt. He tried to get back to the huddle and just went down on a knee. So Kurt Kittner is going to loosen up in a hurry, and the entire city of Atlanta will hold their breath while they check on the health and the status of Doug Johnson. And that's him wincing in pain after being dragged down by Ellis. Then he got up and tried to get back to the huddle and took about 3 steps and went down.
But with all the things that have gone wrong with the Falcons today, with the injuries and the opportunities, Michael Vick, of course, not being able to play for probably at least a month, and this is a very good football team. And we talked about it a little bit in the open today, that some of these players were just so upset with the fact that they weren't getting the respect they thought they deserved. Keith Brookings said, and I'll paraphrase, that it really ticks me off what people are doing. And we're coming off here, we're supposed to be a 2-point underdog against the Dallas Cowboys, and I guarantee if Michael Vick were playing, we'd be a 4 or 5 point favorite. So they're really taking it as a personal affront that everyone has considered the Falcons season over because Mike Vick is sitting right there.
Well, now the Falcons, who only dressed 2 quarterbacks coming into this game, are going to have to rely on Kurt Kittner. He was inactive as a rookie in all 16 games last year. Of course, he's the all-time winningest quarterback at Illinois, but has no experience in the National Football League.
Johnson got up and was able to get over the sideline pretty well. Chris Moore, the punter, really serves as the 3rd-string quarterback as a handoff is to Dunn. And that'll bring up 4th down and bring Feely onto the field to try a field goal.
I think that's about what you would expect with a guy coming in who had never thrown a pass in the National Football League, or even taking a snap for that matter, to come back and just hand off a draw. They're in field goal range. Let them kick it, and you just wonder now, is Doug Johnson going to be able to return to the game? Because that's definitely going to have an impact on how the last 13 minutes was played in the 4th quarter.
But that was a huge hold by the Dallas Cowboys. Even if this kick is made, it's still a 2-touchdown game.
And Feely picks up where he left off last year, drills it, and it's now 20-7. But as Chris said, it's only a 2-touchdown game.